Hey everyone, welcome to your character design lecture. Today we're going to be making this 1930s style character in Illustrator in preparation for your character design project. This file is available for you to look at. You can download it at the link in the description. Let's get started. So first things first, we need to create this character, and we're going to be using two menus extensively to do this. One is the Pathfinder menu. You can find this by going up to the top menu, go into Window, and check that Pathfinder menu on. That'll get you this little guy. And the next menu that we'll be using extensively is called Stroke, and you'll definitely need this one as well. First of all, what we're going to need to do is to build the body of the character, and we're going to do this by conjoining some very simple shapes. In fact, most of this character design we're going to be building out of simple shapes. So let's grab the shape tool, and we're going to make a pair of circles and a larger oval for the body shape. He's got little nodules on the top and bottom of his body that represent the little lemon, a nice yellow color, and also a stroke around the outside. And I've got my stroke set to about 4 points. I'm going to copy and paste this on top. So I have two little nodules that are exactly the same size. And I'm just using the scale tool to scale them down a little bit. Let's connect these two with the body, and then we'll make them all one shape. So I'm just using the circle tool to draw the body, and now I'm going to resize it. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let's make them all one shape using the Pathfinder tool. To make them all one shape, you'll need to use Unite. That's this very first, leftmost, topmost option in the Pathfinder tool. So select all of the shapes that you want to join, and then select Unite. Now you've converted all of that into one big shape. So now we have our lemon shape. Let's make some eyes and some facial features for this guy. I think it would be easiest to start with the nose. So grab your pen tool. This is the curvature tool, and this is the pen tool. And hopefully you guys know a little bit about Illustrator. If I click, I get a straight line. If I click, drag, like I'm doing now, I get a round line or a curved line. So I'm just going to make a little pointy nose that points slightly up like this one. And typically with a 1930s style character, that nose will flip depending on which way the character is facing. So we can do that with one little bitty piece of artwork. Now let's take the curvature tool and make a nice smile. We've got a couple of curved lines underneath the eyes here for cheeks, but those need to align with the smile. So grab your curved line tool. You may have to click on the background to deselect. Let's make a small little smile with the curved tool, like that. There we go. And now our cheeks need to line up with the top of our mouth here. Directly above the mouth, we're going to make our cheeks. You may have to click on the canvas to deactivate it from that previous line that you drew. There we go. Now there's one cheek. I probably want to scale that up a little bit, because remember, this is going to go directly underneath our eye, so it needs to line up with the top of the nose bridge and also be in line with the mouth in order to be proportionate. I'll just copy and paste that. There we go. Let's make sure that we have our color turned off here. There we go. Now we've got our little cheeks. I think I'm going to point them slightly down just by rotating them using the bounding box. There we go. Just like that. And now these will become the bottom of our eyes. The eyes are really just a simple peel shape that we've cropped using the cheek lines. So we'll need a copy of these cheek lines for our eyes. So let's go ahead and make ourselves a copy of these over here to the side. Grab your black arrow, that's your object tool. Object selection is different than the white arrow, because with the white arrow you can see we can select pieces of our vector. So here's our copies of our cheeks. Let's make a pale shape. I am going to do this using the rounded rectangle tool, just like that. There we go. And you can make them taller or than my example. There we go. And in order to round off that top, I'm just going to drag that little dot in the interface in a little bit. There we go. Now I want to get the placement for my eyes right. There. So we're going to use these as a trim, essentially, for our eyes. How we'll go about doing that is first of all, we need to grab the pin and complete these shapes here. So these need to be a full shape and not just a line. So you don't have to be neat about this because we're only using these to trim our eyes. There we go. I'm going to make these guys into a filled shape without a line. Same thing for these guys. I need to make these into a filled shape just so I can see what's going on. So we want our cheeks to be on top of our eyes. So we're going to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front, minus front option. All right, so try to do these one at a time, and we're going to use minus front. There we go. Select it. Minus front is the second one over from the left on the top row. All right. So now let's convert those back into lines, and remember that needs to be at about 3 points to match everything else. And now we can move these over, and we've completed our eyes. I'll have to do some finagling to line everything up. There we go. Now we need to fill this with white. So we've got the background of our eyeballs. He's looking a little soulless right now. So let's do some pupils. Again, I'm just going to use the rounded rectangle for these. That seems about right. We'll flip that to where it's filled with black and turn the stroke off of the outside. And I've just got him looking over here to the right. I'll copy and paste that. And now we'll move that over to the right. Don't worry about these going out of your eye like they are, because when we get this over into After Effects, we'll put a little mask here. That will keep them from doing that. We need a complete pupil. Okay? As a finishing touch for these eyes, I've got these little notches that serve as sort of highlights. Let's make a star shape. Here's my star. Let's change the color so we can see what's happening with that. All right. So we've got our star shapes on top of our pupils. Let's use that trim option, again, that minus front option, to make those highlights in our little pupils. So let's make sure that they're aligned with each other. There we go. And select your pupil and hold in Shift and select the star. And then let's go to the minus front option. Again, that's the second over from the left on the top row. There we go. And we can delete that. Minus front. There we go. So now we've got our cute little notches. It's time to make our limbs next. And these limbs, let me zoom out a bit. These limbs are really just curved lines in rubber hose style animation. Usually you don't have any hard bend joints, which actually makes them a lot easier to animate using simple vectors in After Effects, which is why I've gone with this style. I'm going to use the curvature tool to achieve this. Let's just make some little roundy arms and legs, and we'll turn the stroke up to where it's really nice and chunky. So right now it's a filled shape, but we want it to be a stroke, and we'll turn the weight of the stroke way, way, way up. Something crazy like, so let's try 19. There we go. That seems about right. Now our terminals are really sharp, which is not something that was a 1930s style. We need to change the caps though. See over here in our stroke menu, we have a lot of options. If you can't see those options, you can click on this little hamburger menu, and there should be a little side menu that says show options. So if you've got your stroke menu pulled up and you don't see all of this, make sure that you've got that turned on. Let's change this to a round cap so our terminals look better. Okay? So we've got one guy going. Let's get the other side going. And you may have to select the canvas in order for it to disconnect from that previous line. Otherwise, it's just going to keep drawing the same line. Grab your arc tool. There we go. And I'm going to do him waving in my animations, which is why the other hand is out here to the side. Now, you can sample attributes in Illustrator using the eyedropper tool. So if I want this to be the same as my other stroke, I can just sample those attributes using the eyedropper, which is really nice. Okay. So here's our two arms. Great. Let's go ahead and make our legs. And then we'll move on to our hands and our boots and this cute little leaf up here. Just going to draw a leg using the curvature tool. Grab your eyedropper tool and pull the attributes from one of your arms. Same thing for the other leg here. As I'm drawing these, I'm keeping in mind that I need these to bend at a certain point. So kind of estimate where your knee would go when you're drawing these with the curvature tool, because you will need access to that point when we import these over into After Effects. There we go. The weight is kind of on this right foot, so it needs to be straighter than our left foot, which appears to be slightly up. And again, rubber hose style animation, everything is really curvy. And just so these are behind my little lemon guy, I'm going to select them both and go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Okay, now we've got our limbs going. Let's add some personality to this character with some eyebrows and a little bit of texture. So I'm going to zoom in so I can see a little bit better. And I'm just going to make a copy of my mouth and flip those around using the rotate tool. There we go. Let's make sure that the color is turned off. And now I'm just going to move these up and scale them down. What's nice about using strokes in Illustrator is when you're resizing, it does not resize the size of the stroke. So here's our eyebrows. Here we go. He's certainly looking a lot friendlier now. I think it would be nice to hint at the porous texture of this lemon with a few tiny little dot shapes. So let's grab our shape tool. We want to change that to an ellipse. And I'm just going to make a texture kind of like this one off here to the side. Make sure that you are using the fill and not the stroke in this case. And now I'm going to copy and paste this a bunch of times to make myself a lemon texture. Here we go. I'm just using my arrow keys to do this. Command-C, Command-F is what I'm using to copy and paste, because that means paste in front. Just going to try to make these a little random. We're just hinting at that porous lemon texture a little bit. For some of these, I'm going to scale them slightly down so they're a different size. Again, trying to make it look a little bit more random. And bonus, these guys will serve also our freckles on our cheeks as well. So once I'm happy with how that looks, I'll grab the texture and put it on top of our little lemon guy. I'm going to move it slightly to the side here. I'm going to copy and paste it. Again, rotate it around. Maybe get rid of a few of things. And there we go. Now he has a little bit of texture. And get rid of a couple of these little guys over here. So now we can take some of these dots and make freckles for our cheeks. So I'm going to zoom in so we can see how that's done. There we go. Grab 3 of these guys, a random 3, copy and paste them, and move them up to our cheeks. And I'm just rotating them around using the rotate tool. There we go. Maybe a different 3 this time. Maybe these guys. I'm just copying and pasting these and moving them up and over and rotating them around for the cheeks. The next thing that I'm going to do is to make the hands and the feet. And the feet really are just a peel shape that we've added a round top to. And we've done a few little detail lines and highlights that sort of sell the toe being in front of the ankle and the heel. So let's do that. Okay, so let's use the Pathfinder tool and our shape tools, our simple shape tools, to create a foot shape. Grab the rounded rectangle tool and make yourself a foot, but we want it to be much more round up here on the top side. So let's just make a circle or an ellipse to be our front foot shape. There we go. That's a little better. We're just going to join these two together using Unite. Try to align it up best you can. So now we've got a toe. Let's move our heel out a little bit just by selecting part of our shape and using the white arrow tool to move it out. Just doing that with my arrow keys. Now we need an ankle. So grab again that rounded rectangle tool and make an ankle. Just going to resize it a little bit. There we go. And this is in the same family as that Steamboat Willie style or Felix the Cat style. So if you want to pull any references from those, that would be really useful to do. Remember, it needs to be a little bit wider than your leg in order to cover that part of the leg. So now we've got our nice little toe. Let's round it out a little bit using the smooth tool. So if I zoom in, I'm going to join these two shapes together using Unite. And let's round out that area. So this is the smooth tool, and you can use it to refine your shapes. And so what I'm doing is redrawing this a little bit to make it a little bit more foot shaped. There we go. That's looking pretty good. I want to smooth this area out a little. Great. Now we need to convert that to our green color. I'm going to sample it from my original, but you can just roughly estimate it. We need a little line that continues this part of the toe to convince the audience that your toe is in front of your ankle slightly. So let's grab our arc tool to do that. So this is our curvature tool. I'm just going to make a little curved line. Make sure to turn the fill color for that off, so you don't need that. And I'm just going to move this on top of my foot here, just like that one. You may have to do some adjusting with your white arrow in order to line this up properly. And in the end, we'll probably make this a group so it moves as a unit. All right, so we've got our toe shape. That looks good. We need our little sock, or the top of our shoe. I'm just going to do a simple circle for that. So grab your ellipse, make a simple circle, and I'm going to fill that with a cream color, like that. So we might want that to be a little bit wider. There we go. I've got a little highlight going, and I've just used the same cream color to do that on the top of the shoe. And then I've also got a little detail line going down here. Those are just some simple arcs that I've drawn. Grab your curvature tool, and now I'm going to flip that to where it's the white color and turn off the fill. And that's how I've achieved that little highlight on the top of the shoe. So now if I move my foot to where my leg ends, and this one needs to point up slightly because his weight's not on this one, I need to move this to the back. Object, arrange, send to back. Okay. Remember to group your artwork. So all of this little shoe I've grouped together by selecting all of the artwork and hitting Command G. And that way when you move it around, it'll move as a unit, and it'll also import into After Effects that way. So as I'm refining my artwork, I need to make sure that all of my parts that go together are grouped. So this is just a little bit too far down, so let's move it up a tiny bit. And we can adjust the length of our leg to suit that. Here we go. So now it looks sort of like it's going down into the shoe. So I will duplicate this and rotate it to where it is flat on the bottom. And I'm just going to go to Transform, Reflect. And in this little Reflect menu, I'll flip it horizontally, on the vertical axis, and place it where it needs to go, and then adjust my leg here. There we go. So that concludes our feet. Next section, you'll probably need to pull a style reference. And what I have here is a Mickey Mouse white glove style reference from Vecteezy. So you can Google that, pull this right into Illustrator, and that way you're really nailing that 1930s glove cartoon style. And if you're wondering why did they put the gloves on the cartoons, it's so you could see the hand lines a little easier. And those three little lines on the back are supposed to be representative of tendons, so you can tell whether or not the hand is facing forward or back. We need a fist for our left side, and we also need a waving hand for our right side. So let's give that a shot. So the resolution in this is just a little bit crunchy, so you'll have to excuse that. But this is the one that we're going to be using for our waving hand. See, ours is stylized a little bit differently. We're going to be using the shape tools to create this, just a rounded rectangle tool, and then our pin tools to add to that. So first we need our 3 fingers. Let's go ahead and make our 3 fingers. Here is our rounded rectangle tool. So our first finger, just going to copy and paste this one for the second. This one needs to be slightly up. And our third, there we go. So it's looking a little mechanical, so let's do some resizing to fix that. Our middle finger needs to be, of course, a little bit larger than the rest of these, and they also need to taper slightly on the bottom. So grab your white arrow, and we're just going to scale these down a little bit so they come in at the bottom. Let's cover this with another rounded rectangle shape. I know it's looking a little goofy, but just trust the process. It goes through an ugly phase. Let's try to line up our palm with the edges of our fingers. And we'll probably need to rotate this slightly. Ouch. There we are. Let's join these all together and then we can continue refining our shapes. But first, let's make our thumb. So I'm going to grab the rounded rectangle tool, and here's our thumb. And our thumb also has a little fleshy part right here that we're going to represent with a circle, like that. Good. Let's join these together by clicking on Unite. There we go. You'll remember how to do that. And we'll rotate this around, be more placed like a thumb. We're going to go with that classic 4-fingered look. And I'm going to join all of these together next. There we go. The bottom part of the glove is still not been drawn. So let's go ahead and draw the bottom part. Just going to do that using a rounded rectangle tool as well. I'm going to leave that as a separate shape. So we'll created that as a separate shape, and now we're going to join it with the rest of our artwork like this. We need our thumb to be in front, so object arrange, bring to front. There we go. If we don't want our line going all the way around this, we're actually going to remove a part of the thumb. So we'll need a different point here like this on our thumb. And now we're going to delete that part. There we go. So now we have a thumb and it's got an edge on it like this, in case we need to move our thumb. So to sell this palm aspect of the hand, let's go ahead and make an arc up here at the top. There we go. And in our original here, we've got a line also going down that's hinting at the contour. So it's turned out a little bit differently, but that's all right. Like that. And depending on how you want to stylize your gloves, you can change the way that this looks. I'm not loving the way that the thumb looks right now, so I'm going to remove some aspects of it to minimize it a little bit more so. There we go. So try to treat your character designs like you would sculpting. You can always go back and change certain aspects if you would like to. There we go. I want this edge to go away, so I'm going to grab my smooth tool and I'm going to smooth that out a little bit. Same thing with this shape down here. I'm going to smooth this out as well a little bit. There we go. And now we'll have a hand that moves as a unit. All right, so make sure that you get all your parts together and you hit Command G, group. And now when I rotate this, you can see it moves all as one piece. That's exactly what we want. All right, so again, it did turn out a little bit differently. So do your best and use your style reference for your second hand, in which case is a fist. Building them out of shape tools, grouping them together, and then finally creating the last part of this illustration. That wraps up this particular tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. The next part of it will show you how to group all of your limbs and hands and so on of your character for animating in After Effects. So we'll go through that whole process of grouping things, then we'll import that into After Effects and begin our sample animations. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.